Welcome to the Workamper Show, brought to you by Workamper.com. This podcast helps you discover how to finance your RV travel dreams. Each one of our episodes will introduce you to people who are already living the RV lifestyle or to work camping opportunities all around the U.S. You'll also learn how to hit the road the right way and make the most of every opportunity. Now let's turn over today's show to your host, Greg Gerber.
Today, we'll be speaking with an employer from Maine who has a unique opportunity for work campers at a craft brewhouse, tavern, and restaurant a few miles from the Atlantic Ocean. Today's episode is brought to you by Workamper News. Since 1987, they've been helping businesses of all types find and recruit work campers who serve in a variety of positions around the country to help further the mission of those great businesses. When you become an employer member at Workamper.com, you'll have access to resources and support to help you develop and implement your work camper recruitment strategy. In today's market, it is more challenging than ever to keep a flow of applicants coming in. Workamper News recommends advertising your current and future work camper job openings frequently throughout the year, as well as scheduling some time to regularly search the Workamper resume database because new work campers are joining daily. Work campers like to plan many months ahead, so now is the time to take action to begin developing your work camper team. You can learn more and download a quick start guide for employers at www.workamper.com/employer. Riley Mitchell and his family own Booth Bay Craft Brewery, which is located a few miles north of the quaint coastal town of Booth Bay. It's in a rather rural part of Maine, halfway between Acadia National Park and Boston, but within driving distance to a bunch of fun activities. The property was an old homestead built in the 1820s and has been transformed into a tourist destination over the years. The property now includes a 14-site RV park, cottages, a tavern, restaurant, and brewery, which supplies beer to local restaurants and food trucks. The family is looking for 3 sets of work campers who will help run the campground, work in the kitchen, and serve customers at the taphouse. Because work campers can collect tips, they're often earning between $30 and $35 per hour. To tell us more about this wonderful opportunity for work campers who enjoy helping others to have a good time, please welcome Riley Mitchell with Booth Bay Craft Brewery to the show. Thanks for joining me today, Riley. I really appreciate your time. Tell us a little bit about Booth Bay Craft Brewery, like where it's located and how long it's been in business.
Well, Booth Bay Craft Brewery is located in Booth Bay, Maine, which is on the mid-coast of Maine, about halfway between Bar Harbor and Acadia National Park and Boston.
Okay.
Yeah, and we have been here, let's see, we're a small family-run business. It's my parents, my brother, and I, and my parents bought the property in 2006. And it was a small cottage resort with cottages built in the 50s and 60s and an old homestead built in the 1820s.
Wow.
Yes, sir. And so we've developed the property quite a bit in the years that we've owned it. We added 4 more cottages in 2008. There was an in-ground pool that we ended up getting rid of for insurance purposes. Insurance companies don't really like pools. And we're in such a seasonal cold climate anyway, they're really hard to maintain.
I can imagine.
But my parents bought the property knowing that they wanted to open a brewery. And so we're on municipal water and municipal sewer. And for our seasonal community, that's a rarity. But we have the best water in the state of Maine, 19 years and running. The Maine State EPA hosts a competition every year, and our water district has won for the last 18 years.
Well, that's interesting.
So we brew our beer with literally the best water in the state of Maine.
I bet does it really impact the taste that much?
Yeah, there are some natural minerals and stuff like that are in well water that you don't really want because there are some chemical reactions that occur when you add components that go into beer, such as the way yeast reacts with certain phosphates and nitrates and stuff like that.
Okay.
But the brewery was founded in 2009, and we sent out our first commercial batch in 2010, and we also have a small tavern on site as well. Our full production capability for our brewery started up in 2000 And that same year, we started tearing out some of the old cottages and putting in RV sites.
Okay.
So we've now grown to the point where we have 14 full hookup sites, 2 back-end water and electric sites, the restaurant that's open in the summertime, that's open Wednesday through Sunday, 3 to 8, closed on Mondays and Tuesdays, and then a full production brew house, and we distribute statewide.
So you are providing your beer and the things that you're creating to liquor stores and restaurants in the state? Is that what it is?
Yes, sir. Yeah, every state does it a little bit different as far as alcohol, but in Maine, agency liquor stores and grocery stores and stuff like that can sell beer, wine, and some of them liquor.
Okay.
Also, like a lot of restaurants in Maine carry our beer on draft, and then food trucks are starting to become a thing, and some of those can have, in certain areas, they can have cans to go and stuff like that as well.
That's very interesting.
One of the other interesting changes that occurred over COVID, and we haven't really implemented it fully yet, but we can actually ship direct to consumer. And that is something that we're talking about doing in the near future.
Very good. What kind of jobs are the Workampers involved in then? It sounds like there's plenty of things for them to do.
Yeah, we primarily hire Workampers for the restaurant and the tavern. So whether that be in the kitchen or front of house, serving customers and selling swag and beer to go, and or the overall customer experience at the tavern. I am building one more RV site, so we'll end up having 3 sets of Workampers next season. And with that, we do want to rotate people through other aspects of the company, such as assisting in the campground and stuff like that. Since we are smaller, we only have 14 campground sites. And then we were actually the first brewery on Harvest Host ever in 2013. So we have 2 Harvest Host parking spots that we also provide one night stay for guests of the brewery and patrons of the brewery and town. Yes, sir.
You said you're looking for 3 sets of Workampers. Does that mean you're specifically looking for couples, or can singles and families apply as well?
We're totally okay with families. Unfortunately, with our the question that would apply here is our local labor pool is basically fully tapped out, especially in the summertime. So we do primarily look for couples, and that's what we've hired in the past. But we would totally entertain families as well. Unfortunately, with our need for staff, we have not hired singles in the past, and I don't know if we're going to entertain that in the future, but we might.
I can understand where the local labor pool would be really tapped out in the summer, because Booth Bay isn't that big. I've just looked it up on the map, and you guys are isolated in a delicious part of Maine. I would love to live in that area.
It's an absolutely beautiful place. Definitely not about 9 months out of the year. It's a little cold and snowy in the winter, but take the good with the bad. We love it year round. We're brewing our beer, we send it up to the mountains and the ski resorts and stuff like that in the winter. But the best part about the summer is there's a lot of seasonal businesses in the coast of Maine, and our community has, I want to say, 3,600 year-round residents on the 3 towns on the peninsula. And in the summertime, 4th of July weekend, you could have 12, 13, 14,000 people here.
Oh my goodness.
On a weekend, because I used to work for a local utility company. So like 60% of our water district customers are seasonal customers. 30% of the sewer district customers are seasonal customers. And that's a pretty rare occurrence in most utilities. But we're a very seasonal community. And with that, most of the local labor has already found a good year-round job, because it is a fairly expensive place to live and do business.
When you mentioned season, when does the season start for the Workampers?
We tend to bring in our Workampers. Our restaurant Our campground opens mid-April and closes the beginning of November. And we're the first campground to open in Maine and the last campground to close of the seasonal campgrounds in Maine. The restaurant opens about a week or two before Memorial Day and closes basically the last Saturday of October.
So you would want the Workampers to start working in mid-April to help with the campground, or more into the mid-May when the restaurant opens?
So we start our Workampers early to mid-May, because if they don't have certain certifications, we pay for those, and we have those classes every year as far as serve safe and tipsy courses for people bartending and stuff like that. We cross-train all of our staff to be able to do everything from both a legal standpoint and a safe standpoint. So we want everyone to know how to do all that stuff. And then our commitment for our Workampers is basically, if you show up early May and you stay through the season close, we do have a season end commitment bonus.
Oh, that's fun.
Yes, sir.
How many hours a week are the Workampers expected to put in?
So we primarily have hired people that need to work full time, because we're okay with 32 hours or more. We pay a full wage, including tips, which you make a lot of money here in the summertime. Including tips, our employees average probably between $30 and $35 an hour, including tips.
Oh my, that's pretty lucrative.
Yes, sir. It's extremely lucrative.
And what other kinds of perks do you offer? You said they have full hookup site for the Workampers?
Yeah, so we have full hookup back-end sites for our Workampers. And because of the extreme cost of utilities, we do charge rent for that. That's $300 a month. And we don't take that out of your paycheck or anything like that. We pay you a full wage. You get paid very well, as I just told you. And then we do charge for $300 a month for utilities. But we do have a dedicated laundry facility for all of our staff that live on site. Wi-Fi is included, and the Wi-Fi for our property is entirely Starlink based now. And so it's exceptionally fast.
I've heard that a lot from people who are using Starlink.
Yeah, we've used it personally, and where my grandmother lives, there's no cable or anything like that over there. And so she put it in, and it's insanely fast. And so we decided to ditch cable, cut the cord, as everyone's saying, and put up Starlink, and it basically tripled our speeds at half the cost.
With the compensation, you pay people a starting wage of what?
We start people depending on skill level. If people have already been in the restaurant industry in the past, we will start someone with zero experience at $16 an hour plus tips.
And the tips can bring the compensation up to $30 to $35 an hour total.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
That would be an ideal summer job to have.
Absolutely. And so with that, like I said, you also get the season commitment bonus. We also have a employee discount for the restaurant. And then we also provide a gift card that we put a certain amount of money on every pay period that you can use for food and swag and stuff like that in the restaurant.
Oh, that's fun.
Yes, sir.
Now, when we're talking scheduling, you said earlier that your restaurant is open Wednesday through Sunday. Does that mean everybody has Monday and Tuesday off?
Everybody has Monday and Tuesday off all the time. Yes, sir.
So that's every week. They know that they're going to have those days off, and they can plan their trips around Maine.
Yes, sir. And we do also, in the early beginning season and towards the end of the season, we also do provide, I guess you'd call them vacation type days. They're not paid, but you could potentially get a 3-day or a 4-day weekend as things start to slow down towards the end of the season. We had a couple this year that they actually left their rig here and they went and tent camped for 2 nights up in Acadia National Park. And that tends to happen starting late August, mid-September is when people start to get an extra day off.
Okay. That's a wonderful benefit to have.
Yes, sir. We're also only, if people don't want to go into, people tend to not take their RVs into Boston, and there's only a couple campgrounds down there anyways, close to Boston, but we're only about a half an hour from an Amtrak station in Brunswick. And so you can take the Amtrak down to Boston, spend a day in Boston, and experience Boston while being not paying to stay in Boston.
That makes sense. How much is an Amtrak ticket to Boston?
It's $50 round trip, but they do offer buy one, get ones quite frequently because it's on the Amtrak Down Easter.
That is an excellent idea. A great way to go down to Boston without incurring that expensive cost of trying to find an RV park or staying in a hotel. What kind of traits and qualifications are you looking for in a work camper?
So ideally, we do look for people that have worked in the restaurant industry in the past, but that's not a requirement. We really just look for a positive attitude, a strong work ethic, willing to learn something new. We had a couple, our first year that we did it, that one of them was, I wouldn't say restaurant industry. He had worked for a major grocery food store chain his entire life, and his wife had never done anything in restaurant. And they ended up being fantastic, both in the kitchen and out front serving beers.
You mentioned some training that you provide because they're going to be working as bartenders. They're going to have to know Maine law regarding serving alcoholic beverages, I'm assuming.
Yeah, Tipsy Certified is a class that's mostly put on by local sheriff's departments. And we either there's one restaurant in town that kind of hosts it every year, and it does change. But it's basically like identifying someone that's underage or that's been served potentially too much at another establishment and knowing how to de-escalate that and get them home safely. Our Serve Safe class, you really only have to have one person in a kitchen be Serve Safe certified. However, we do pay to have someone be Serve Safe certified. And that lasts, I think, for 2 or 3 years. So even after they leave here, they're still ServSafe certified. And the ServSafe is a nationwide accredited certification. So they could go work at another restaurant in another state and have that certification to add to their resume. Well, we pay for that.
That's a very nice perk for people who tend to want to work in restaurants and food service companies.
Yes, sir.
And you're recruiting for work campers right now for next season?
Yeah, so we tend to put out our first ad right at the end of our season, and mid to end of October. We start to put out our first ad on Workamper News. And our November newsletter, our fall winter newsletter, will have that ad in it as well. And that goes on our Facebook page and out to anyone that's signed up for our newsletter. And starting mid-November, we start to go through the resumes that we've already received. I think I've received about a dozen to a dozen and a half resumes already through Workamper News. And we'll start to sit down as a family and go through all those resumes. And we tend to reach out to everybody and say, thank you very much for applying. And so we do try to reach out to everybody that sends us a resume, regardless if they're a good fit or not.
And what's involved in the interviewing and hiring process?
So we do a phone interview. We've only hired 2 sets through Workamper News. So we do a phone interview and basically just have a short conversation about their resume, what they're passionate about, what they've done in the past. And we just go off of that conversation on whether or not we offer someone a position or not. And so far, both sets that we've hired through Workamper News have been absolutely amazing. One set, the set from last season, the 2022 season, they worked for us that one season, and that was their New England season. This summer, they were in North Carolina, and they reached out to us halfway through the season and said, I hope you guys are having a great year. Maybe we'll come back another season. So everyone that's worked for us wants to come back, and we're really happy about that. The set of work campers that we hired for this season, they worked for us this season, And halfway through this season, they already committed to next season, and they're now in the Gulf Coast.
It sounds like it'd be a fun way for people to come back year after year if they wanted to.
Yeah, we had a set that worked for us last season that we didn't hire through Workamper News. They were actually, we don't really do seasonal customers, but they inquired later in the year, and we had a site that was still in the process of being built. And so we said, if you're willing to show up after this date, this site will be done. And then they were a traveling nurse and the other one worked full-time remote. And they actually ended up, when they weren't working their full-time jobs, working up in the restaurant. And so they turned into work campers and they came back this past season as well. So it was, and we have since told them about Workamper News, and I think they created an account.
Wonderful. What's one thing that a work camper can do to really stand out if they'd really like to work for you folks?
Having a picture of yourselves, having a picture rig, a nice description of your past work history, at least something that's up to date, and then a reliable phone number where we can contact them and set up an interview. And really good communication skills is what we really don't focus on the piece of paper too much. We want to get people on the phone and get to know them as a person.
That's great. What are some of the things that people can do in your area on those days that they have off? We've talked about a few already. You're not too far from Arcadia National Park.
Yeah, we're only about 2.5 hours, depending on traffic, from Acadia National Park and the greater Bar Harbor area. And then, like I said, by train, we're 2.5 hours from Boston. But as far as our local area, Boothbay itself has the Boothbay Region Land Trust, and we are a pet-friendly employer. We're also a pet-friendly business. So the Boothbay Region Land Trust has 30 miles of trails on 14 preserves. We have the Coastal Maine Botanical Gardens, which is a world-class botanical gardens at this point. They've won a bunch of awards, and that's absolutely stunning. Cabbage Island Clam Bakes is a clam bake boat tour that's offered, and they're very well known through the industry and through the country as one of the top things to do in coastal Maine. They fill up fairly quickly, but we try to get people out there when they work for us. There's a lot of boat tours, puffin tours, whale watching. You can even go out lobster fishing with someone for the day. The downtown area has a lot of shopping and restaurants and art galleries and stuff like that.
That would be a lot of fun. I know those small coastal communities have a lot of neat shops in there for people who like to go into like antique stores and just curio stores, basically, is things that they can find that they're not going to find anywhere else.
Anything that you buy in Maine that's made in Maine has a Maine-made certified sticker on it. And so you know that was made by a local, or at least a state local artist. And there's a lot of lighthouses in Maine. Maine has the second highest number of lighthouses out of any state after, surprisingly enough, Michigan. So that's some pretty cool trivia. We do comedy nights every once in a while. One of our beers is actually a scavenger hunt, and it's called Cryptos. And we encourage all of our employees to do that basically as early as they get here for the season, because a lot of people that are here do that scavenger hunt through that beer. And you get to see a lot of things in a lot of local businesses and organizations in town.
Oh, that's fun. Now, Nova Scotia isn't too far away either, right? Only about 5 or 6 hours?
Yeah, so you can actually drive up to Bar Harbor and take the CAT, which is the fast ferry, and that takes you over to Yarmouth, Nova Scotia, and that is probably maybe 5 hours, including the drive to Bar Harbor.
That would be a fun experience.
It's a 3.5 hour boat ride from Bar Harbor to Yarmouth, which is pretty spectacular, I think.
What's one thing you wish all work campers knew before they came to work for you?
We are a small family-run business, so we do ask a lot from people from a positivity and a hard work side. We hold everybody to an extremely high standard, but while also having a lot of fun and making a lot of money in the process.
It's going to be a lot of fun working up in Maine. I would love to do that myself someday. In fact, that's been on my bucket list for years, is to spend a month in Maine, and here's an opportunity to spend an entire season. You're only a couple of miles from the ocean, technically.
Yeah, we're the closest campground to downtown Boothbay Harbor. If people that have e-bikes, a lot of our guests that have e-bikes, bike into town, and we have an electric bike store in town now. We have a small local movie theater. We have a dinner theater. We have an opera house where they host a lot of shows and music there. They have small concerts there and every once in a while as well. And there's a lot of stuff to do in our beautiful little community.
It sounds like it. Where can people get more information about working for you?
So we post that ad on Workamper News, and then you can also check out our website, reach out via email, and that's Riley@boothbaycraftbrewery.com. Send a resume, send your contact information, and we'll be reaching out to those types of people, anyone that's reached out to us in the next couple of weeks.
That's great. Thank you very much for your time today, Riley.
Have you ever heard of Bean?
I have.
So their headquarters is in Freeport, and their flagship store, anyone that comes to Maine has to go to Bean. And so we're only about 35, 40 minutes from their headquarters and their flagship store. And they do a lot of free summer classes as well.
Oh, that's fun.
They do some summer experiences, whether that be kayaking, skeet shooting, bow and arrow, archery, hikes, and stuff like that as well. Mount Catat is up Baxter State Park. Maine has some beautiful state parks, as well as Sebago Lake and Moosehead Lake. And then we're not that far from New Hampshire and Mount Washington, the tallest mountain east of the Mississippi. And then Vermont as well is a beautiful little state as well.
I just love New England. So people should go to booth.com where they can find out more information about the tap house, the RV resort, and the brewery itself. And then once they peruse that and they decide that, yes, this is where they want to work, they can email you.
Yes, sir.
Very good. Thank you again for your time. I really appreciate it, Riley, and I wish you the best of luck in 2024.
Thank you very much, Greg. Cheers and safe travels, as we say to everybody.
I appreciate Riley Mitchell for coming on the show to talk to us about opportunities for work campers at Boothbay Craft Brewery in Boothbay, Maine. Although the campground opens in mid-April, the seasonal jobs start in mid-May and continue through the end of October. Work campers who stay the entire season qualify for a special bonus, which makes the job even more lucrative. The business is only open Wednesday through Sunday, which means all work campers have every Monday and Tuesday off. Riley said there may be opportunities for additional days off during the shoulder seasons before Memorial Day and after Labor Day. It costs $300 per month for electricity, but there is no charge for the full hookup RV site, which includes access to a dedicated laundry facility and high-speed internet via Starlink. Work campers put in at least 32 hours a week and earn $16 per hour as the base wage. But because they also receive tips, Riley said the compensation averages between $30 and $35 per hour. That's more than enough to cover the utility costs to stay in one of the most popular vacation destinations in Maine. There are lots of things to see and do in that area. Acadia National Park is about 2.5 hours away, and so is Boston. Riley said that for $50 round trip, many people hop the Amtrak train in nearby Brunswick and take that into Boston. In the fall, the colors make the region an extremely popular destination throughout Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont. The Boothbay area has about 30 miles of trails on 14 nature preserves and is home to one of the most beautiful botanical gardens in New England. People can take part in clam bakes, catch lobsters, or hop on a speedboat to get to Nova Scotia. The world-famous LL Bean flagship store is less than an hour away in Freeport, Maine. Riley said he's accepting applications right now, so for more information about the company, visit www.boothbaycraftbrewery.com. Then to apply, look for the company's ad on workamper.com or send an email to riley@boothbaycraftbrewery.com. Today's episode was sponsored by Workamper News. With its Diamond and Platinum membership tools, Workamper News is much more than just a job listing website. When you put the tools of this professional service into action, you'll find out just how easy it can be to turn your work camping dreams into reality. The one-year memberships open the door to a one-stop shop for all things work camping. Being the original resource for work camping, you'll find the largest number of job listings, be able to connect with the community of work campers, and view resources compiled by experts who've been enjoying the RV lifestyle for many years. If you're serious about leading a successful and enjoyable work camping lifestyle, then a Diamond or Platinum membership is for you. You can even get started with a free 30-day trial by visiting www.workamper.com/trial. Embark on new adventures today with the support of Workamper News behind you. That's all for this week's show. Next time I'm interviewing a couple who has been work camping for a while and supporting their lifestyle by selling ads for campground directories with AGS and Texas Advertising. I'll have more details on the next episode of The Workamper Show. Thanks for listening.